Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation. Welcome to Cardiff City World, the Cardiff City World Pod. It's the flagship podcast of the channel where we round up the weekly news and etc. Talk all things Cardiff City. Look at the news, look at the press conferences, the rumours, etc. But we're also blending that in with our day after the game video, which is 5 things we've learned from West Brom and Cardiff. We're going to kind of throw it all together because we had a midweek game, which makes everything a bit more hectic. We had the post-show reaction show last night, which is normally the Cardiff City World podcast. Super Kevin scripted on Tuesday. Tomorrow is the question and answer part of Michael Chopra City Legends event. So the first part, which you dropped last Friday, was predominantly talking about the gambling, the addiction, a few other bits. The second part is where he kind of delves more into his career and answers questions from the fans and from the people. It's a real good time. It's a real good thing, real good show. That'll be available for video and audio download tomorrow night on Cardiff City World. So please do check that out. Tonight, 8 o'clock, straight after this, I'll be jumping over onto Ace Podcast Nation for the Rhodri Giggs show. Please join us for that. It's another belting show. We tend to focus more on Champions League, Premier League, the rest of it, all things football basically on that one. We do talk about Cardiff and Championship as well. I'm just giving all the various little links and stuff a retweet and a share. Please do the same. Give it a like, give it a share, get it out there to as many people. We dropped the Katie and Emily's vlog from the West Brom away game. Everywhere we go with the Bluebirds, and it's just a vlog for each game they go to. And we also had predictions and videos. Big shout out to Wayne Dibbs for that. Went round and asked some fans for their predictions and questions, thoughts on the starting lineup. All that was uploaded Tuesday night. If you want to get involved, whether it's providing content, whether it's just giving predictions and videos and stuff like that, if you want to go around talking to fans and send it to us, we want it all. Cardiff City's first unofficial fan channel. We also signed the club's historian Terry Phillips, formerly of Wales Online and the rest of them. He will be providing weekly weekly historical content on Cardiff City World, which I'm really excited to kind of see and delve into once we start that. That's going to be coming real soon. I'm hoping that will probably start next week with Terry. So that kind of gives another aspect to the stuff, because you have the current stuff, you have the previews, the post-match stuff, the reactions, the predictions, the vlogs, the 5 things we've learned, where we really look into that side of things. You have all the current stuff, so add in something historical as well as the re-uploads of Super Kevin scripted. I feel like that was a good addition, but we're always looking for more. We want more fans, more views. All the views welcome, as long as you're semi-coherent. You could put a sentence together and whatnot. Crack on, get involved. The more the merrier, I say. We've got to spoil it now by talking about the football. Actually, before we talk about the football, I want to talk about these luxury pennants which are on sale in aid of the Cardiff City Disabled Supporters Association. Individually packaged, top quality pennants, which I'll put a picture up at the moment. You can contact Martin via the CCFC DSA Twitter there. You could email, or you can contact Martin Davis directly on the Premier Bluebirds Facebook group. But I can't speak highly enough of Martin. He's bringing some content soon as well, which is going to be unique and different to the other stuff we've got. Like, it's just non-stop stuff. Let's see if we can. We've got these lovely pennants here. Don't know if you'll be able to see that now. Don't know. There you are. There. So we've got those lovely pennants. You can get like different ones. FA Cup finalists, 22-time Welsh Cup winners, League Cup finalists, European Cup winners, Cup semi-finalists. They are beautifully done, top quality products. You can buy them from Martin at the moment. Obviously, we gave some away on the Cardiff City phone-in and on the Cardiff City World Pod as well last week. So get in touch, get involved. What more can we say? Right, let's ruin it all. Let's talk about the football. Cardiff City got a problem. Manager's got a problem. However, I'm quite glad that I didn't have time to do 5 things the very next day, because Tuesday night I was fuming, I was raging, I was very, very disappointed, as was a lot of fans. And I spoke to a lot of people in different forms on Tuesday night. We're not happy about a whole array of things. And it's kind of interesting because as the time after the match sort of passes, people, they kind of chill out a bit and they look at things a bit more realistically, and they relax and they look at things a bit more objectively. 38 seconds. So number one thing that we learned from Saturday, 38 seconds, and how Wirth had conceded his first goal for Cardiff City wasn't his fault. He got a leg to it. It was a well worked goal. The Jamalu Collins hate on social media is wild to me. And he's honestly, and maybe I'm going against the grain here, but it is absolutely unbelievable the amount of hate I've seen him getting. And I do get it. He's got a very languid style, and particularly for that goal, it seemed like he wasn't quite up to speed, and he doesn't really get tight to the winger, and he doesn't try and block the cross, and then it's just, it's a simply worked goal. But man, like, this guy came back from a long-term career-threatening injury start of this season. He started slow, and I can pinpoint the moment where he went from being a bit not confident, a bit wary of his knee, and kind of struggling a little bit. And then in the Swansea game, there's a 50-50, and he just goes, whoa. And you could see him get up, flex his knee, and he's like, right, there we go. It didn't go again. And it was like a full-blooded 50-50. And ever since then, I think he's been pretty consistent. If you look at that squad, out of all of them, he's been one of the more consistent performers. Has he made mistakes? Yes. Does he slow the play down on the ball? Yes. Does he take the safe option all the time? Yes. However, taking the safe option isn't always the worst thing. However, when you look at the way Cardiff City's play has completely fallen off a cliff since the start of the season, that safe, if in doubt, go backwards, go sideways, slow the play down, relax, kind of, slow the game down. That's a big issue, because we've been talking about one of the biggest issues Cardiff have got at the moment is they're still playing the same way tactically, in terms of play out from the back, build, play through the lines, play through the press, blah, blah, blah. Be patient, work the ball, keep the ball until an opening opens up. Like, we were doing all that at the start of the season. The only difference is we had purpose with the passing. So you had McGuinness, Siopis, Rawls playing that possession football, playing out from the back. But they were trying to get the ball to the wingers, to the number 10, to the strikers quicker. And with that purpose, we have lost that. I said before the West Brom game that I felt like before that little winter break, Jamalu Collins looked really, really tired. He looked mentally and physically exhausted. I said, at the time, I said, if the Wilson Esperan's up to it, I'd put him straight in and let him have a few games to give Collins a mental break. I stand by that. And I think, if anything, his performance against West Brom, I didn't think was as bad as people are making out. There was much worse performers. But he did make an error. Would you call it an error? He was slow to close down his winger for the opening goal. 38 seconds in, he wasn't with it, and he just doesn't get tight. He doesn't close the cross, doesn't try to close the cross, and it's an easy goal. So I stand by what I said. I would give him a break. I would get Wilson Esperan in at left back, and then maybe that'll give us a bit more of an attacking option. But we'll talk about the tactical side of things a bit later. But the other thing is, I hate being right. And the last two games in my previews, I've talked about certain players, certain areas, certain tactics that Cardiff need to be careful of and Cardiff need to try and exploit. Both games have the things that I was saying could cause Cardiff a problem have really come to fruition. So for the West Brom game, I said, you've got to get tight to Fellows. Don't give him too much time. Do not let him get around the side of you, etc. First minute, round the side of you, very easily past Collins, simple ball ins to Johnston, and it's a goal 38 seconds in. We're Cardiff 1-0 down. And for a team who does not score much, that's a problem, being down 1-0 after 38 seconds. You're effectively starting the game 1-0 down. The second aspect of that is, like I said, we don't score a lot of goals. We don't create a lot of chances at the moment, largely down to the languid, slow, sort of turgid pace that we play football. It's an issue. And I don't like to be right. But if I can see these things before the game, you guys can see these things before the game, what we're good at, what we're not good at, where they could target us, where we can target them. We can all see it, and we're all discussing it openly. surely a team of coaches, analysts, etc., they can see the same things. So either they're not seeing these things before the game and discussing it with the squad, which I find unlikely, or the players are not implementing those instructions correctly, which if that's the case, the manager's got a problem and he needs to discuss that with his squad. He needs to take the players who are not listening out, whatever it may be. Oh, slight bit of speculation, but you can't tell me. So a few weeks back, I put something out on this podcast that I had heard that all was not well within the squad, or there was a bit of infighting. Some players were not happy with the manager's tactics, etc. And I got slated and blah, 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 and loads of shit on Twitter, as you'd expect, because that's what happens. But you can't tell me, you can't look at that West Brom game, you can't look at that Preston game, Watford game as well, I think. You can't tell me that all those players are playing for this manager, are busting a gut for this manager, are trying to do everything they can for this manager at the moment. They're just not. Like, that's just a fact. Whether it's effort levels, concentration levels, urgency, whatever it may be, there's something amiss there. Number two, in things we've learned, for me, is the manager is not learning from his mistakes. He's making similar mistakes, if you call them that, or similar selection issues, similar massive tactical problem. The tactical problem for me is what I said last week. The possession side of things is all well and good, but you've got to have a purpose. You've got to really push on. You've got to try and find you're attacking three behind the striker. They are creative outlets. If you're not going to find them when they find a half space or they find these little pockets of space, if you are not going to get the ball through the lines to them to then implement that space or to get in behind teams who've got wing backs or whatever, that's like an issue, and he's not learning. So you've got to have, if that's not working, you've got to have a plan B. You've got to have a plan C. So plan C or D should probably be stick a centre back up front and lump it up if it's 1-0 down and there's like a minute to go or whatever. Yeah. But like plan B should be that, right, if the possession stuff's not working and Preston are just sat in or West Brom are just sat in comfortably because they're 1-0 up, then you've got to go a bit more direct and play off the target man, not just go side to side, because the gap that you're trying to work with the possession-based football to create something, it isn't coming because West Brom, because Preston are very organised teams. They're very good defensively and they're winning the football match. So they don't have to go and press the centre-backs, the full-backs and put them under pressure to try and win the ball high up the field. They can just sit in and wait. Cardiff don't learn. The manager's not learning. The selection side of things, I wasn't like, so I only had one real issue with the starting 11 side of things. I think like there's a few in there. I'm like, the one issue for me is I can't understand, right, how the manager has watched the Preston game where he started Siopis, Wintle and Turnbull. And out of those three, he's obviously wanted to get Colwell back in, so that's good. But you can't tell me out of Turnbull, Wintle and Siopis was the one who looked like he was the one who should lose his place in the starting lineup. Wintle was excellent in the Watford game. He was dreadful in the Preston game. I assumed, rightly or wrongly, that when we signed Turnbull, he had been signed to play alongside Siopis in that double pivot because they seem on paper like the perfect partnership to get the most out of both best out of not only both players, but also get the best out of the wingers, the number 10, and potentially a ball playing centre back like a Phillips or a McGuinness. However, he clearly wants to get Turnbull into the starting lineup because he did, but he dropped Siopis, and that made no sense to me whatsoever. Wintle has been very hit and miss this year. I don't agree with a lot of the shit he gets. However, to me, he's a squad player. He should be a squad player. Even with the squad that we've got, which is far from the finished article, he's still a squad player in that because the three should be, if everyone's fit, the three should probably be Siopis, Turnbull with Ramsey just in front. Now, I've got a really, really worrying feeling that we're going to see Ramsey in a deeper role playing alongside a Siopis or a Turnbull or whoever, Wintle. I just think that's the next thing he's going to try, which is worrying to me because we all saw Ramsey get absolutely overrun in a Wales shirt whenever he was played a bit deeper on the rare occasion. We all know he hasn't got the legs he once has. Creatively, I think once he's fit and at his peak, playing in the number 10, he'll definitely be able to create something and make something happen. But he needs the ball and he needs the right players behind him. Siopis and Turnbull have the right mix of technical ability on the ball, work rate off the ball, aggressiveness. Like, it's a good balance, those two. So other than the Wintle thing, which it puzzled me, it wasn't like, what a terrible lineup. Wasn't the lineup I would have gone with. I would have gone with Wilson Esperand as left back. I would have given Collins a rest. I would have gone Turnbull, Siopis, Colwell. And as I said in the preview, I would have probably played Tanner, but I wouldn't be against playing Bowler off the left. I'm fed up of seeing inverted wingers. It doesn't work for Cardiff. So if Grant is going to play wide, which judging by the press conference today, where Glenn Williams, shout out to him, kind of put it to the manager that maybe Grant could play through the middle, and the manager kind of shut it down a little bit, which is a bit disappointing to hear. Assuming that he's not going to play Grant in a central position, play him off the right, play Bowler off the left. Or if you're going to play Collins, play Wilson Esperand on the left, and actually go for traditional wingers, try and get behind the fullbacks and put the ball in the box. So selection issues are still there for me. He's creating issues which are there or not there, I don't know. Like the keeper thing, as he just created another issue with that by bringing Howworth in. Alnwick not even in the squad. I haven't seen or heard anything in regard to that, whether he was injured. So I'm sure someone in the comments can let me know if Alnwick's injured and that's why. Looks like Mate's out for Saturday's game. It's a massive game on Saturday in Norwich. Number 3, can we take any positives from the West Brom game? I think it's difficult to take loads of positives, but I'm going to try and find a couple. So I thought Wilson Esperand technically looked pretty good again. Not 100% sure how he's going to do as a traditional left back against certain teams, but he also might be a really attacking asset. I thought Colwell did all right. Actually thought that was one of Colwell's lesser performances, but at least even if things are not coming off for him on the ball, he works hard. Turnbull, I think, is still trying to get to grips with his teammates and maybe his role, because he's played a couple of different roles already. Like, another reason why I think I'd like to see him alongside Siopis and stick with that double pivot for a while. I thought Phillips did all right. Gutas looks off it to me at the moment. I thought he was really poor against Preston. I think I wasn't massively impressed with him. Again, his tackling looks mistimed, to say the least. But it is what it is. We haven't got really another centre-back at the moment because McGuinness is out. So unless you're going to put NG there and bring in Romeo or put Wilson Esperand on the right side, it is what it is. Maybe he'll play through it. Like, I know Ollie Tanner off the bench again, which is a weird thing to me. Like, if you need a goal and you've got a winger on the bench who is capable of doing something from nothing, kind of makes no sense to me. He just doesn't seem to be able to get a look in, which means that, to me, he's probably not going to start anytime soon. Bowler, I thought, offered absolutely nothing again. I'm fed up with his body language, should we say. And Atete, the same. I thought he offered nothing. And I thought, actually, when Mate went off injured, I thought, God, go on, bring Tanner on or bring Ramsey on there. Ramsey wasn't on there. So I'd rather have seen Ramsey come on and have Ramsey and Colwell around Jeju and see if they could create something that way. But ultimately, it's not the central areas which is the problem for Cardiff. It's the wide areas. We're not creating anything because we don't have any runners off the ball. We don't have any runners running in behind the opposition fullbacks or hugging the touchline and stretching the pitch. It's problematic. It is what it is. It is what it is. Number 4, can this manager turn it around? So my answer to that is yes, he can. But 2 things will be required to make it work. 1, he needs to get out of his own way, settle on his best 11, and have a plan B. So we aren't just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is literally the definition of insanity, right? So he's got to change that side of it. That's down to him. Nobody else can make those changes for him. No one else can make the team play quicker. No one else can make the team be a bit more aggressive and on the front foot. That's down to him. That has to come starting on Saturday with Norwich. Now, I think like our home form is what it is. Our away form has been relatively good up until fairly recently. So I don't see him changing a great deal tactically to Norwich away, because Norwich away is a very difficult game. So he's going to kind of set up to be solid and then try and pinch a goal on the break. That's okay, but let's have a bit of urgency in those breaking moments when we win the ball up in the transition. Like we've got to try and stop having to chase games because we can't create anything. Or we're not at the moment. The team is so devoid of confidence. And the second aspect of can Bulut turn it around, will be the fans and the board have to be patient. I know it's difficult when you're watching awful, boring football. The results aren't coming. And then you're kind of sliding down the league. So what looked like maybe an outside run at the playoffs is now looking like we need to make sure we don't lose too many, just in case, because this league's a bit weird. And I just think let's have a bit of patience and sensibility. We're 14. We've got 40 points already. We're comfortably away above the playoffs. We're 11 points off the relegation zone. So it's not like at the start of the season we said top half would be progress, safe, and then we can kind of build in the summer. Then now, what happens in the summer if the manager, the owner, and whoever get their heads together? Maybe they decide he's not the right man, and we have to start again. I hope not. But I can understand people's frustration. And for people like me who think he is the right man and he's shown enough in the early part of the season to say that if you give him time and you let him continue his rebuild, eventually he will get it right and the club will be in a better state when he leaves. It is getting more and more difficult to defend him against the people who are frustrated and have been saying he's not the right man and there's a problem there. Like, it's difficult because a lot of the things which are now being said, I don't disagree with, and it's a problem. And then the kind of final point really is we have to find a way to score goals and get a result. Like Reese has just said there in the comments, Bowler has been a waste. He's a waste at this point, and I really struggling to see what he offers that Tanner wouldn't offer. The next 3 games we have Norwich away, Blackburn home, and then Stoke at home. 3 very, very difficult championship football matches. Norwich away is not good. Norwich, I believe, are in pretty good form. Yeah, they've won 3 of the last 5. They've only lost 1 in the last 5. Their form's pretty good. They score goals. Looks like they're the 4th highest goal scorers in the league. So the only teams which have scored more goals than them are the 5th highest, is Ipswich, Southampton, Leeds, and Leicester. So they are right up there in terms of goals scored. But they do concede a lot of goals because they're also about 5th or 6th in goals conceded So if Cardiff are going to score, this is probably a game where they might be able to grab a goal. If you could get ahead and instead of chasing a game, be 1-0 up, or get away from home against Norwich, then I think the Norwich crowd can turn. We're set up to be defensive, then it becomes a different game. But you've got to create early doors. You've got to take advantage of your chances. Atete missed a great chance against West Brom, which could have changed the game. And it just gives the team confidence. Football is so momentum based. It's unreal. People forget, like, momentum is massive in football, both in games and in terms of winning games, losing games. You're losing like 4 or 5 in a row, or you're failing to score, or you're failing to win. That momentum builds. If we could come away with a 1-0 against Norwich, but not a very good performance, but we just a bit of magic from someone, take that all day long, 3 points. And then you've got 2 home games. They've got to change that home form. For him to survive this season, the next 2 or 3 home games will be vital. He has got to send the team out aggressive and urgent and with purpose, pass with a reason, put teams under pressure, put the big tackles in. I swear to God, like, we've brought Turnbull in, who is a very, very good footballer, great on the ball, works hard, aggressive, set pieces. Play him alongside the one player in your side who is an exceptional championship level holding midfielder. Play them 2 as a double pivot. That's your base for the team. On the ball, off the ball, that's your base. Got 2 decent centre backs. Get Wilson Esbrand in for Collins. Give Collins a mental break. Double pivot. If Ramsey's going to play Ramsey. I'd bloody play Colwell off the left or right, and Grant on the other side. He obviously doesn't fancy Tanner. Bowler offers little to nothing. At least Grant works hard and has offered like a little bit. Like, at least he looks like doing something. Same as Colwell. The others just don't. Jeju, his hold-up play is excellent. I think he could be one of those ones which he needs a goal. So a nice 1-0 win against Norwich would be nice with Jeju scoring, because I think if he gets one, he might get a couple. We've seen, recently in the Premier League how strikers who haven't scored a lot all season, they get one. Even Neil Mopai, who bloody is renowned for not scoring, is on a bit of a goal scoring streak this season. So we have to change things up. We have to get the right players in, but we also he needs to settle on a starting 11. My starting 11 now would probably be Halverth, Wilson, Esbrand, Phillips and Gutas, because no one else is Phillips and Gutas because McGuinness isn't available. NG on the right, Turnbull and Siopis, Ramsey in the middle with Jeju, and then Grant on one side, and then the other wing I think is up for grabs. You can go Tanner, you can go Colwell, you could go Bowler. Mate's obviously injured, and then go from there. Unless you play NG at left back, Romeo at right back, and you put Wilson Esbrand as the one side. I would like to see an end to the inverted wingers. I'd like to see a left-footed winger on the one side, or right-footed winger on the other side. If that means play Colwell on the left and Grant on the right, then so be it. But Cardiff have got to sort it out, and they've got to sort it out quick. And Kiefer Moore scoring 3 goals in 3 games just makes it all the more painful. I do love the way that players, like when they sign for clubs, it's all, I've always wanted this, or it's been in the works for 2 years, and I don't know. What are they going to say? I wanted to go to Cardiff, but it didn't work out, so I went to Ipswich instead. Or I was going to go to Cardiff, but then my mates from Ipswich hit me up, and I got a bit more money and whatnot. Like, well, it's not going to. I tell you, don't pay too much attention to media and stuff like that. Someone asked me the question, which I want to address now before I finish up and go over to the Ace Podcast Nation channel for the Rhodri Giggs show. Someone asked me a question. They said, do I think that Bulut will be there at the start of next season? And I honestly don't have an answer now. Ask me after the Stoke game, and I'll give you a concrete answer. I think the next 2 home games are massive for this manager in terms of if he's the man who takes us on next season. Because I think if we lose to Blackburn and Stoke at home, but more importantly, if the performances are as lackluster as they've been in the next 3 games, I think he won't even see out the season. The only reason, and this is what I was told when he first came in, is I was told he has got a massive payout clause if we sack him before the season's out. So that's the reason I don't think he'll walk, because if they sack him, he gets a big payout. Supposedly, it's allegedly, he gets a big payout if he doesn't see out this season. However, at the end of the season, there's an option to take to let him go or to keep him on. So with the financial fair play the way it is, I don't think he'll get sacked unless it becomes so unattainable. The fans have turned, like there's just booing and blew out and stuff like that. Like that's the only way I could see him being sacked, if it becomes unattainable. As it stands now, I think they will mutually part company. If we win the next 3 games and we build a bit of momentum going out of the season and we win more than we lose, then I could see him staying. Because I think there has been a bit of a disagreement in the background in regards to he wanted certain players. The board probably didn't want to spend that much money on wages or fees, and that's just the way it went. But the next 3 games are massive for this manager in terms of his rebuild of Cardiff City as a team. If he's going to be the guy to take us on, I think how the team performs in the next 3 games will tell us everything we need to know. If there's a reaction in the next 3 games, and particularly in the 2 home games, if there's like a more urgency and aggression, look, I would accept losing these 3 games. I don't want to. Obviously, I would accept losing these 3 games if in every game we're fighting and competing for everything. We're more aggressive, we're more attacking, but it just doesn't come off. I'll accept that 110% effort, trying something different, being aggressive, being creative, and we just can't get. We lose 4-3, whatever. Like, people will accept that. What we can't accept is sideways, backwards. Certain players having a bad attitude, certain players not trying, and the manager seemingly not having any concrete plan in what he's trying to achieve with his substitutions or his rotations. And one of the problems for me with his selections, and particularly his substitutions at the moment, is his substitutions seem pre-planned, and he doesn't seem to be trying to change anything tactically in terms of we still play the same way, no matter what the game situation is. He has to learn and he has to adapt to the game situation. We're 1-0 down after 38 seconds, so we can't just sit in away from home and try and hit him on the break. We can't just do that. Like a few people saying he sounds like he's unhappy, think he'll walk. I don't think he'll walk, to be honest. But that's mainly because maybe I don't think he'll walk because I've heard of that clause that if he doesn't see out the season, he gets a bit of a payoff. But I think end of the season, they might. I don't know. It's difficult, isn't it? Because you just don't know. Like if these players play for him, I had a disagreement with someone on Twitter the other day. They said it doesn't matter who the manager is. These players are not capable of playing to a certain level or creating anything. And I said, no, you put an attacking manager in there now with the same squad, and I bet you'd see more creativity and aggression. We might not be winning, but you would see more chances created with a different tactical approach because there is players in there who can create something. But you've also got to remember that your Carlin Grants, your bowlers, who else is on loan? Like these loans and frees, they're players that other teams don't want. So whether that's a consistency thing, an attitude thing, whatever it may be, you're not going to get balls to the wall, amazing performances from them week in, week out, unless you're very lucky. Will says we can't change our manager again this season. He needs to have next season just to give our youngsters some consistency. We're all just a little frustrated at the moment because we're going through a bad patch. Yeah, mate. But the thing is, right, everyone has a dip. Everyone has a dip. The only thing which is worrying for me in terms of when I look at these games is the manager doesn't seem to be adapting as he's going, whether that's in game or his rotations just seem to be rotating for the sake of it. I cannot understand for the life of me how Wintle has kept his place after the Preston game, because I thought he was poor. But Siopis, who I thought was all right against Preston, hasn't. It just doesn't make any sense to me, especially when if I'm the manager and I'm thinking I want to get Turnbull in there, get him in there alongside Siopis. It's weird. It just is what it is. Guys, as always, it's an absolute pleasure. That was your 5 things. That was your Cardiff City World pod. Tomorrow on Cardiff City World, we will have the Cardiff City versus Norwich preview, as well as the Michael Chopra Part 2 City Legends event. Thank you for joining us. Check out Martin Davis's pennants and stuff. Check out the vlogs. Check out Super Kevlar Unscripted. Look out for Terry Phillips's new series. And if you want to get involved, please do jump over onto acepodcastnation to watch Rhodri Giggs on football in about 6 minutes. Nice one.